Welcome to Journey to Esquire, the podcast. I'm Jocelyn Hardrick, founder and president of Diversity Access Pipeline, Inc., the company behind this podcast and other great programs, like Journey to Esquire Scholarship and Leadership Program, which provides $2,000 cash scholarships to third-year law students and internships to second-year law students, along with leadership training and mentors. And Journey to Esquire, the blog, which provides insightful articles to help navigate you through law school and beyond. Find out more on our website, www.journeytoesquire.com. Hey, it's Jocelyn Hardrick. I'm back with another episode of Journey to Esquire, the podcast. I'm the founder and director of Diversity Access Pipeline, Inc., the nonprofit behind this podcast and our other programs. And today I'm so excited because we have Abigail Dean. And Abigail is someone who's near and dear to Journey to Esquire. She was an intern when she was a law student, and now she has joined us as a board member now that she's a lawyer. She's currently an assistant state attorney in the 13th Judicial Circuit in Hillsborough County, Florida. And we're so excited to have her here today. Welcome, Abigail.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here.
Oh, great. It's an honor to have you. We love when our babies come back. I know you're not a baby, but, all the students in the program are my babies. So, and now you're a baby lawyer, even though some young lawyers hate that term, but it's true. That first year you're a lawyer, a lot of learning to do. So before we get into what you're doing now, let's talk about your journey to Esquire. So tell us about why you wanted to be a lawyer.
I think growing up, what really sparked my journey was high school. I took debate in high school. That was like the beginning interest into going into the law field, because when I was growing up, my mom is a principal. So she always tell me, you're going to be a teacher. And I'll always be like, no, I'm not. So I had to figure out, okay, if I'm not going to be a teacher, what it is that I want to do. And so being in the debate class kind of sparked my interest. I was like, just maybe I could do this law thing. And I started looking into it and seeing the different options. And what I love about law is that it's very versatile. You can go in a variety of different fields, a variety of different positions. So from that point, just before I started going to undergrad, I decided to become an attorney.
Excellent. So yeah, that's the start for a lot of people. Debate. They love that kind of adversarial system, right? And getting in there. Yeah. For me, it's when I was younger. I was in elementary school, but I saw like lawyers on TV, like grilling people on the stand, and I'm like, oh, I want to do that. That looks so interesting. And then, of course, as I got older, I did different things too to kind of reinforce that. And so, great. So you decided in high school. That's still pretty early for a lot of people. So you go to undergrad, and then now, of course, you're trying to figure out how to apply to law school. So talk to us about your law school application process.
Well, for me, I started looking into different law schools very early. I think in my junior year, I was in my sophomore year at the time, I decided to actually go visit Stetson because it was the closest law school, and it was a school that I wanted to go to. So from that point, I went to there, I met with the advisor, and they told me from then what it is that I needed to do. So they told me around your junior year, you needed to take the LSAT. Start studying for the LSAT so that by your senior year, you would be able to take it. So they also told me that I needed to apply as early as possible because you get more scholarships. Like you position yourself better for scholarships when you apply as early as possible. I did exactly what they told me. I took the LSAT within my last year, and as soon as the application opened, I would say within about 2 weeks, I applied, and I also applied for scholarships. And because of that, I was able to get I believe the scholarship covered about 85% from Stetson, but it was because I think what played into me being able to get that was because I started earlier.
Yeah, I mean, let's give you some credit too. You probably had a good LSAT score and a good GPA. So you said it was close by, and you knew that was the school you wanted to go to. Are you a Tampa Bay native?
Yes, I was born and raised in Tampa. So I knew the two options for Tampa, if you're going to Tampa, that's close by, is Cooley and Stetson, and I wanted to go to Stetson. Stetson was my first choice.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, Stetson, fun fact, is the oldest law school in Florida. It's been around for over 100 years. It has a strong alumni base here in Tampa Bay, and it's
Yeah.
one of our partner schools. So we're always excited to have a Stetson alum talk about their experience. Did you do anything special when you studied for the LSAT since you started early? Did you use like a paid prep program or follow a certain schedule?
Yeah, I used the in-person program. I believe it was Blackstone.
Yeah, we've had a few
Um,
Blackstone alums on
yeah,
the podcast.
it was. I went to USF for my undergrad year, and so Blackstone had a class that was literally around the corner. So while I was going to school at USF, I decided to in person in general is better for me in terms of learning. So I decided to use that prep program.
Oh, that's awesome. And then USF is the University of South Florida. That's another
Yes.
local school that has thousands of students. So that was perfect. And it's good to note right now because, people your age are having a lot more online learning and they
Hmm.
think, oh, it's accessible, it's cool, it's easier. But really, you have to decide for yourself whether
Yeah,
online or
yeah.
in person works. Because when I studied for the bar, you didn't have an online option. We had to do it in person and
Oh.
go in person. Yeah, I'm that old. I graduated in 2009, so I actually had to
Okay,
go
okay.
to
Go in
Stetson
person, yeah.
and listen to the lectures either live or through video conference. And then near the end, they started having some online questions. And so I didn't have an option. I don't know if I would have done well online, but definitely look for in-person options if you know you learn
Hmm.
better, in person. So cool. So you got in. Did you apply to any other school or did you only apply to Stetson?
It was only Stetson. It
Oh,
was
wow.
only
So you were one
Stetson.
of
I
those
took a
bold people. It's like Stetson or bust. So we don't have to talk about how to decide between schools because that
I
wasn't an
definitely
issue
took
for
a
you.
gamble on that one. Took the
Yeah.
gamble. Even my parents were like, "So you're not gonna apply to any other schools?" And I was like, "No, that's it.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
it."
That takes some faith. And it worked out because you got that 85% scholarship. Because law schools are really expensive. A lot of people are talking about, student loan debt forgiveness now. And we got to remember that one of the ways to keep it down is don't get into as much debt in the first place. You have to be
Yeah,
really conscious because
yeah,
law schools are expensive. We're not going to sugarcoat it. Um, there's definitely six-figure level debt facing a lot of people who are in law school. And so one of the things we recommend is, if you have options, right, look at the financial aid package and do what Abby did.
hmm
Apply early so you can get access to the scholarships early. So that's a great strategy. So now that you're in law school, right, you start, I always like to ask people, did you enjoy law school and why?
I would say my first semester, no. It was like I was drowning. It's a new experience, a new learning, and new information. But I would say that I was a lot more. I did make an effort to get involved. So my first year, I was a 1L rep for Balsa. That was I think for my first year, that was the only thing that I was really connected to. But being a part of that help me through the process of my first semester, because it allowed me to connect with different people and just make new friends through that experience. Because that first year, you're drowning in work, you're working all hours of the night, so it's very easy to seclude yourself. So, and I also made sure that I attended events at school. I made sure that I made that effort so that I will make connections, because a huge part of law school that they tell us is network, 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 because these connections are going to last you for a lifetime. After that first semester, I feel like it was a lot way, way better. I had got advice from Professor Bean. I don't know if yeah, Professor Bean was a professor at Stetson, Dorothy Bean, and I think I went and visited her in my first semester, and I asked her for advice in going in my second semester, and she said, make sure that you visit your teachers every 2 weeks. Go over the information, visit your teachers, make an appointment, because a lot of times we have the teachers telling us, teaching assistants telling us, come visit us, we're here to help. And a lot of people don't utilize that help. So I decided for that second semester to use her advice. And with that, there was a lot of pressure, lot of anxiety that was minimized because of me going to my teachers, it helped me to understand my material better. And so with that, and following that advice for the rest of my law school career helped me to, okay, this is not as bad as it used to be.
Yeah, that's great advice.
Yeah.
That's great. Why do you think students don't go see their professors? Because I'm a professor, right? And I have to beg my students to come see me, not every week, go see the TA, come see me. What is it that stops people? And what advice do you have to help overcome, whatever fear might be associated with it?
I think sometimes people are fearful. There's a level of anxiety of I might look stupid, and it may show the lack of understanding that I may have. And I think that sometimes you get there's so much that we have to do. And to go to a teacher every 2 weeks takes time. Like, to go to all 4 of your professors, take an hour, take 2 hours takes a lot of time. And I think that sometimes there's a perception of, I don't have time to do that. But I would highly encourage you, especially if you lack understanding of material, if you're not, there's something, specific topic that you're not getting. That experience helped me to flesh that out, because in a classroom setting, you're not able to ask all the questions that you can, because there's a timeline. It may be 1.5 hours or how long the classes is. They don't have time to answer every single student's questions. And especially for me, I was never the type of person who would just speak up in class. I'm just not that type of person. Unless I was called by a teacher, that is the only time that I would raise my hand or even stand up to talk. So that it was, for me as an introvert, it was also comfortable for me to be able to go to my teacher and ask questions. It's a lot easier for me, but you have to make time. You have to.
Yeah, that's good advice. I'll give all kinds of advice about how to prepare for the exam. They're like, I don't have time to do that. I'm like, you're not realizing that I'm not asking you to do something separate from studying.
Yeah.
Like, this is part of studying. Meeting with your professor to figure out, because then what it does is it eases your mind, number one. Number two, now you understand that material. Guess what? You don't have to spend as much time studying it and trying to figure it out on your own. So yeah, the perception of time and the feeling of fear and anxiety is something you have to tackle as a law student. And if you could just overcome it and reach out, especially to the friendly professors and the ones asking you to come see them, hello, come see me. Make sure you go and make that appointment. Good. So I'm glad that, for a lot of students, that first term is tough, or the first year. And then once they kind of start figuring things out, that second and third year gets really interesting. And so for you, I just want to say BLSA, BLSA is the Black Law Students Association. So Stetson has a very active chapter. I was very active in my chapter at Florida State. Years ago, we won like the top BLSA chapter a couple of times while I was there. We're very proud of that. And I know Stetson has too. So definitely try to plug into one of the student organizations, because it's important when you're going through a tough experience to build community, because you really bond during that. Like, so people who go to boot camp, right, and they're going through the tough experience, they bond with the people who's in their boot camp. Same thing with law school, med school. Even when you start high school or college, it's the same kind of thing. Those techniques can help you. So you're a new lawyer, so this is your first legal job. So I don't know if the experience was kind of straightforward, or if you had, if you looked at a lot of different places, because you sound like once you make up your mind about going somewhere, that's it. So when you started, thinking about, okay, what's going to be my first job out of law school, what was your approach? How did you do the job search?
For me, I knew kind of coming into my third year that I wanted to do criminal law first. I knew up front it was going to be a long-term option, but I wanted to be a part of this, to be a prosecutor, because of the experience, because of basically that's the main reason, because of the experience and the trial experience. So in that, I had direction as to where I need to apply. I debated for a long time whether I wanted to do prosecution and public defense. And I think I leaned towards prosecution more because when I was in law school, my third year, I did a prosecution clinic at Stetson. So I think that's what pushed me in that direction. And so coming out of, I think by the time the bar came, I already decided, okay, I want to be in the state attorney's office, specifically in Tampa. I wanted to do that option. When I got the bar results, I think actually before that, I started to apply to different state attorney's offices. I think I applied to one in Tampa, the one in Pinellas, the Sixth Circuit, and I think I also applied in Manatee County, because I think it's also, for me, when it comes down to my life choices, I also consider distance. So I'm not the type of person who just up and leave, like apply for a job location and up and leave to that location. I always try to find whatever it is that I wanted to do in connection with being in Tampa. Yeah, it was a very, very straightforward process. And I applied I believe I applied in August and got the job in October. Yeah, it was about a 2-month period. And then they gave me phone calls like, we're ready for you to come. I was, okay.
That's awesome. Yeah, I did a prosecution clinic too at FSU, and I actually got to do trials and cross-examine people and direct examination. And I was in juvenile court, so there was no jury, but that meant we had more trials. So I did 11 trials while I was there. Did you get to do any trials while you were in the clinic?
No, I didn't, because it was the middle of the COVID.
Yeah.
So at that point, the courts had shut down. So we unfortunately did not have the opportunity to get involved. They tried their best to bring in speakers, and like we did a DNA course where they walked you through the process of how to prosecute, not DNI, but DUI course. But it wasn't as, because of the COVID experience, it wasn't as fun as the previous classes.
Yeah. But but it gets your foot in the door. So definitely, if you're interested in being in the state attorney or PD's office, they always look for their interns first. The same is true with clerkships at the courthouse, staff attorney positions. That their interns are a ready source. They've already seen you work. They've seen your work product. They know what you look like, your demeanor, and it's just easier to hire someone that you've already met. So definitely recommend doing, some kind of clinic, internship, externship, depending on, your law school's requirements. So yeah, again, straightforward. You already knew what you wanted to do and you went for it. So I guess we'll have to interview you in a few years to see, what your next steps are and how you maneuvered from there and what you did with your trial experience. But cool. Now we're at the part where we talk about Journey to Esquire, right? So we usually ask people about some diversity questions now, but since you're, one of our babies, what made you want to be an intern with Journey to Esquire when you were 2L?
I think I like what the program had to offer. This is the first time, I think, this is my first or second year. I believe it's my second year that I joined. And I think at one point we had gotten an email through Balsa. Balsa had sent out an email to all of us about the program. And I was looking at some of the things that guys had to offer, and the weekly classes that you guys would hold in different topics. And I was very much intrigued, especially being in law school, because a lot of the things that you guys were even talking about, we had conversations here and there, but there was no space that specifically targeted educating us in mental health and in law and bar prep and all of these different classes that we got to experience. So I really, because of that, I was like, I want to be a part of this. I do want to be a part of this. So yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I met with you, it was with you and another young lady, because I was looking for interns, and we were still trying to figure out what to do with interns, because a lot of students would reach out and say, I'm a 2L, can I join? And I said, well, it's really for 3Ls, and because, we want you to stay focused. It was like, well, let's find a way, right? So I decided to do this internship and gave you guys access to the modules, right, where we curate these conversations, like you said, about wellness, bar prep, professionalism, pro bono, and paying it forward, and have these, let's think about this, really deep, right? Because it's easy, like you said, to get caught up in law school and all the work and how busy you are. And sometimes we forget to form communities while we're doing that, because we need support, right? And then when you plug into a support system, it's like, okay, I'm not alone. I have some people to turn to. I have people who look like me, who have similar experiences and everything. So how was your experience when you were done with it after your internship?
I used a lot of what I learned carrying it into my third year. I definitely will say this in terms of bar prep especially, because I feel like with bar prep, they give us the courses, access to the courses, and that's about it. It's like there's not a lot of conversations as to you have to get your mind right, your mental health. Like, you have to get that in check. That's a huge part of taking the bar and walking in that journey. So, and also another part is the networking aspect and professionalism. Like, being a part of that group connected with me can like really solidify relationships that I even carry on in today in my current career. And so, yeah, it was just understanding the outside things that sometimes being in law school, they don't teach you, but it's also a part of being an attorney.
I'm so glad to hear that you had such a great experience. We do spend a lot of time on bar prep for that reason that you stated, right? Schools do their best, but it used to be that, bar prep was not a law school thing. It's like the law school's like, oh, you pay those other people to figure that out. We give you the black letter law and the foundation, then you go figure out bar prep. But this generation of students that's not working. The bar exam has gotten a little harder. They changed the questions, and the statistics are showing that students need more support. And so I'm glad to hear that you benefited from that. So you were one of the first-time passers, it sounds like, since you applied in August.
First-time passer, yeah.
Excellent. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And so now to the final question, why did you decide to come back and join the board?
Because of the impact that it had on my life. I really just want to continue to provide that to other students and to support this organization, because you guys are doing great things. You're doing great things. You are tapping into environments that are 100% necessary, and a lot of times people don't even realize it at times until they are part of this journey. And again, it's one of those things that are even helping me. They didn't just help me in law school, but it helps me even now as a working attorney.
That's great to hear. So thank you so much, Abigail, for joining us. Y'all watch out for Abigail, because she is going to be taking over the podcast soon. And so you'll see her as a host and get to know her a lot more. Thanks so much for sharing your journey to Esquire with us and coming to tell us about why you joined the board. And for more, go to journeytoesquire.com. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to another great episode of Journey to Esquire, the podcast. Support, share, subscribe. And for more, visit www.journeytoesquire.com.